So Himanshu, can you give me a reason for your motivation to serve the startup community?
Sure, Brian. So again, just like my career itself, that how did I get to become a chartered accountant? Similarly, for how I got into working with startups as well, it is not so much by design,
Hmm.
but just let's say by default, so to say. Okay. So
Okay.
becoming a chartered accountant was like saying you don't want to be in science after you got into college. Arts में कुछ है नहीं तो फिर commerce करना है. So then you said, okay, ठीक है, let's do commerce, and then with commerce, then you were chartered accountant, right? So by default, you ended up. But with the grace of God, luckily, luck kind of supported and got into good organizations where I could start learning a lot about transactions, getting into good deals. From the very beginning of my career, was involved in some market deals of joint ventures of foreigners coming in and doing some big transactions in India, and doing some good quality tax work. And then over a period of time, it has always been relating to kind of foreign investments into India and how they can be structured and that kind of stuff. So over a period of time, it kind of became a specialization over a period of time. And then this whole startup thing, while today there is a lot of focus on saying that supporting startups and investing in startups and what are the transaction issues, etc., etc. But to some extent, as chartered accountants and tax advisors, we have all, and even lawyers, right? You've all been part of the journey for entities which start, right? From the time
Right.
you help support an entity to be set up, a business to be set up. And there are all levels of businesses. You can say that, okay, if it's a large corporate group setting up a subsidiary, then that's a different thing. But we have worked always with so many individuals who are starting their own businesses, or family groups who are starting their businesses, and we help set up the legal entities, set up their functions, give tax advice. So it was, in a sense, somewhere relating to helping somebody start something. And now, over the last few years, with the focus coming in the ecosystem on startups, I think just the number of opportunities that have been coming up for all of us, right, in this ecosystem, that there are a lot many questions coming up for how to get money into the startups. What are the tax issues for those startups? Are there some advantages that startups can take? Are there some registrations which startups can obtain, which will give them benefit, investors some benefit? So these kind of questions, as they start kind of getting collated and becoming repetitive, I think it's natural that those, from our practice perspective, we started talking to them more and more. And also just the sheer number of startups today in the ecosystem, right? And in the last 2 3 years, we have been part of some of the names that you mentioned at the start of the call, which are like very very small entities when we started talking to them, and in within 2 to 3 years, they have just grown multifold. So the opportunities that they have achieved or captured in the last few years has also helped us to be part of that learning and support them in their journey. So it's just evolved over a period of time. But yeah, it has been a fun journey for us as well. A lot of learning for us also, and just the enthusiasm of people involved in the startup ecosystem, right? I mean, as Kush was mentioning, I am also part of that age when we were with floppy disks, etc. So right now, working with people with such a young population and getting those ideas, that also kind of encourages us and motivates us also to be part of that. So that's where we are working with startups.
Wow, excellent, excellent. So, if I have to summarize what you said quickly, is working with startups make you motivated. It inspires you. It brings all the passion out of you. And choosing CA was sort of uh, default stream which was left to you because the rest of the streams were not applicable or not that much of interested for you. And gradually, as you move forward in the career, you started to specialize in tax and regulatory work, which is now helping all the community in India to get much of the funds from foreign and also seek advice from your all side. Thank you so much,
Right.
Himanshu, for that, for sharing your journey.